The conversation on now to the player of the season. Do we really have to talk about this one? The man is there, 36 goals. He can even score more. I think he can hit 40 goals this season. There's more games for him, 3 more matches to go. Erling Haaland. Let's look at the nominees for the player of the season now. There is 2 from Manchester City, Kevin De Bruyne, and also Erling Haaland, and then Harry Kane of Tottenham Hotspur makes it into the list. Despite the fact that Spurs have had quite a very topsy-turvy season.
You do realize he scored like
27 goals.
So the team is not playing well, but Harry Kane is having a good season though by his standards. There's also Arsenal's very own Martin Odegaard. Bukayo Saka is also there, and then there is Trippier as well, Newcastle United's player. That's quite interesting. And then Man United has 1 nomination, Marcus Rashford, the professor. These are the players. Do we have to?
I mean, it depends on what...
Pick when there's Haaland in this list.
You see, I always say it depends on what is the best player to you. Are you looking at someone who is kind of having an outsized influence on the team, as in no player, no problem? Because I don't think Man City have a problem when Haaland doesn't play.
No way. There's a lot of variance.
So you have, exactly. So it depends. Are you looking for the type of player who is this player, no party? Is that the type of player you're looking for? Or you're just looking at, we are judging each player equally on all, so we're just looking at performance, who has performed the best. Okay. So it depends on what you're looking at. Because for me, if we're talking about a player who has carried his team and has done, like, they are literally carrying the world on their back, I think it's Harry Kane. I think what Harry Kane has done this season compared to the way his teammates have underperformed relatively, I feel like all the players you expected to perform for Spurs have regressed. I think there's a lot of regression in the Spurs team in terms of performance. And Harry Kane is the only person who's still standing strong, still making a claim, still keeping them alive. Because if we are being honest, if you look at Spurs' performances and you take out Harry Kane, this is a team that should be, they'll be 14th or something like that. That's how bad they've been. That's how much load Harry Kane has had to carry. So I think, even though he's probably not going to win, I just hope he's second. I just hope he's second.
Harry Kane, for if you were to pick the player of the season.
I think he's done so well. I just have to, I would pick him personally. I think it's not because he's the best player. I just feel a bit sorry for him. It's clearly Haaland, but I feel a bit sorry for Harry because what he's done this, I think if a lot of Spurs players had performed to a level they had performed last season, they would comfortably be in the top 4.
I like the choices you guys are making today. You're not going for the obvious picks, but rather those with interesting stories around their nominations and all that.
I think we have to look at the fact that some players have... I don't say Haaland has had it easy. I think that's a bit disrespectful. But that's what I'm saying. If I compare him to Harry Kane, he's had it relatively easy. You get what I'm saying? It's not to say that if you put... I'm not going to get into the argument that if you switch them, who will score more goals. Yeah. But the fact is, if Haaland played for Spurs, he definitely wouldn't score 36 goals.
Supply will not be this.
There won't be that supply. There's no way. I mean, that's clear enough. So I think Harry Kane
for you.
Because his influence has been outsized. I think if you look at even the other players on these teams, look at the fact that some of them have teammates alone should tell you that there's quality teammates.
Exactly.
You know,
Marcus Rashford stands alone as well. He's also there, despite what United have had. Ellie, pick your thoughts. Which of these players has a very interesting story to make you pick as the player?
I feel bad for the other 6 contenders on this list because it would have been a fairer competition if Haaland was on the list. Okay. It would have been a fairer competition between the other 6. But if you take Haaland out...
I think he's in a tier above, considering what
it would have been a fairer competition if Haaland wasn't on the list. But because you have someone like Marcus Rashford, for him, he would have been higher up the list if his consistency was spread over the whole season. But let's see, he had just a 2 or 3 month run where he was excellent. The rest, he hasn't been.
And injuries as well. I think injuries have also hampered.
We can say that, but they've been rather whimpers. He hasn't been that great throughout the whole season. I think from January to March, you can see those were his moments where he was on top of his game. But you look at a player like Erling Haaland. Normally when a player has a high volume of output, there are times where it comes one half of the season and the rest he just doesn't go. But he scored 17 in the first 18 games. He scored, I think, 19 in the last 20 games. In the last 19 games or so. That shows that he's been consistent over the whole season. And he scored against every big team this
The
season.
only
Bar Chelsea.
interesting thing I just want to point out before you go on, that Harry Kane has scored in more games than Haaland.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. So it seems like Harry Kane, he's getting 1-1-1-1-1-2.
In the games where Spurs lose 3-1, 2-1.
He's always getting a goal, exactly.
Yeah. So you see some you can't. There's no way you can go past a player like that. This is a guy who at age 22 comes to a league. Obviously, I'm not going to say what Haaland was not expected to be top scorer. For me, I expected him to be top scorer.
I actually thought Harry Kane would score more than him personally.
For me, I think Haaland had that
I didn't think Haaland was going to be top scorer because he's better than Harry Kane necessarily.
But the supply,
because he's going to be playing the City team.
Yeah. The teammate he has
I
around
have
him.
I have to say, I didn't expect City to use him the way they've used him, because if you've noticed, he's barely touching the ball. He's kind of just waiting. Yeah, I thought Pep Guardiola was going to make him play the City
drop
way.
Back in
Exactly. So I thought that would impact his goals, but I think that's why I'll give Pep the credit that he's unleashed the monster, because he just played to the guy's strength.
But Ellie didn't pick your player of the season.
No, he said
It's obviously Erling Haaland.
Erling Haaland,
It's
still.
obviously
Okay.
Erling Haaland.
I thought you were taking him out. Like,
No,
I'm not giving it to
no,
him.
if I take him out,
I think
then
it's a more
some-
interesting discussion if you take him out.
If I take him out, then
But
obviously my
whatever
choice is
happens,
Martin
you give it to
Odegaard.
him still.
If I take him out,
But if he's
that's
there,
why I say
it's
that's
Haaland.
what I'm saying. People, it hurts me for a player like Martin Odegaard, because
I think he's had a very good season.
Had it not been Erling Haaland, we would have been talking about this season as his season. Because he's aside Erling Haaland, I would even go past Harry Kane and say Odegaard has been very, very good this season. I didn't expect what I'm seeing from him. In terms of
I think 15
his
goals
output,
from midfield is very good.
He's evolved as a leader of this Arsenal team, and it wasn't something it was at the start of the season when he was named captain after Aubameyang and Lacazette left. People question his leadership abilities, but you look at how he's rallied these boys behind him. You look at how he's become vocal on the pitch, even though to be honest, he has Granit Xhaka helping him out a lot in that field. But you watch how he's grown in that role. He's become the main man for Arsenal, and it's been very, very beautiful to see. And for me, I feel had it not been Erling Haaland, he would have been my pick for the player of the season.
But Erling Haaland is the huge favorite.
The goals have really surprised me for Odegaard, because last season it's like he was afraid to shoot.
Exactly.
He was really. There were some situations he can be like in the 6-yard box and he would try and
he
make
wants
an
to get
extra
assist
pass.
rather, but now he's shooting.
And it's
scoring.
not even that he's just shooting; he's shooting from far.
Yeah.
He's really, and that's the thing. You always knew this was a player with good technique. Now, if he's within 20-25 yards, he will hit it.
Exactly.
And he will really test the keeper.
But with all this, Haaland is the huge favorite to pick the player of the season.